President-elect Trump and his inner circle are defending the controversial cabinet selection of Matt Gaetz. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Trump confidant Elon Musk is making a public case for Gaetz to be confirmed as Attorney General. He wrote on X that Gaetz has a big brain, a spine of steel, and an axe to grind. Musk said the former congressman will be our hammer of justice. Meanwhile, according to several media reports and members of Congress, the president-elect is calling senators to personally urge them to support Gaetz, who has been accused of sexual misconduct. Greg Clugston, Washington.
House Speaker Mike Johnson says once Donald Trump gets his cabinet choices installed, work will begin during the next session of Congress to accomplish a number of priorities.
The agenda will be fast-paced. The first 100 days will be very full, as we have a lot to fix. And as I've said many times, I believe President Trump could be the most consequential president of the modern era because we have to fix everything.
Mr. Trump is also nominating Dr. Mehmet Oz, who hosted a long-running television talk show to lead the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Studies. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 120 points, the Nasdaq rose 195, the S&P advanced 23. More at townhall.com.
Anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
With Progressive, you get more than savings. You get access to us through our mobile app, online chat, or by phone.
Oh, I see what you're doing here, Jamie. Giving me all these ways to stay in touch so I have no excuse not to. Well, you're in luck, because this guy's in the market for a new BFF.
Actually, all our customers can contact us this way.
Oh. Yeah, no, I was just kidding.
But I am always up for Taco Pizza! Jigsaw!
Get help from Progressive through the website, app, chat, or phone. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Here's the Wall Street Business Report.
NVIDIA and other tech companies pulled stock indexes higher after they stumbled in the morning on worries about escalations in the Russia-Ukraine war. The S&P 500 rose 0.4%. The Nasdaq Composite also erased an early loss to turn 1% higher, while the Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.3%. NVIDIA rallied ahead of its profit report for the latest quarter, which is coming on Wednesday. Strategists say it appears to be the most anticipated event left on the calendar this year for Wall Street. Walmart rose after topping profit forecast. The Dow was down 120 points to 43,268. The Nasdaq gained 195 to 18,987. The S&P 500 added 23 to 5916. For the Wall Street Business Report, I'm John Scott.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and mild with a low dipping down to 60. The rain continues tomorrow morning. We'll have some wind gusts approaching 30 to 40 miles per hour. We're clearing in the afternoon. The high is 71. Thursday and Friday look great. Sunshine, but cooler with highs around 60 degrees. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportstalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, welcome in. It is a Talking Tuesday here on Sports Talk. We got Beamer, we got Sweeney, and we got your phone calls, 888-898-2525. That, of course, is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to get you into Sports Talk. And last night, of course, was about the weekend that was. Now I'm ready to look ahead. Chris Bergen at the Berge Palace. South Carolina's looking ahead. You know what they're doing? And I hope Wofford doesn't get too pissed off. I hope this doesn't end up on the locker room walls at Clemson. I mean, at Wofford. This could really fire up the Terriers for Saturday. They're doing Tiger Burn this week.
Why?
Because the school is closed next week, all next week. There's like no classes. Thanksgiving holiday, they extended it for the entire week instead of having classes Monday, Tuesday. So they're going to do Tiger Burn. One day this week, while the students are still on campus. I think, personally, I think it's a bad idea.
I agree.
I just think it's a bad idea.
Not to spite Wofford, but I mean, it's not that game week.
Right.
And when did we get to a point now we need an entire week off during Thanksgiving? I mean, when do these kids actually ever go to school anymore?
I mean, if I'm a parent.
I know I sound like an old man on my lawn, but.
If I'm a parent, I'm like, what am I paying? And you're home for 6 weeks or so. They don't go back till like mid-January.
And fall break was, I'm assuming, was a week in October, right?
And
you didn't start classes until late August, early September.
Oh, man. I tell you, what a ripoff. What a ripoff it's become. A money grab for sure. But anyway, they're going to have a Tiger Burn. Now, Clemson will have their regular Cocky's funeral next week because they're in school. They're in class Monday, Tuesday. And then they're off. So they'll do it normally. They're not looking past the Citadel. I bet you Shane Beamer, I don't know. He wasn't asked this today at the press conference. Had I known this was a story in the state paper. Had I seen it before, I would have asked him, hey, how do you feel about Tiger Burn? I mean, he was, he won't even talk about any sort of playoff possibilities because they've got 2 games left, and I understand that. And how do you go ahead and do the Clemson game when you still have the Wofford game? Maybe they throw in a little Terrier. They burn a little Terrier as well so that they're taking care of this week's game. I don't know.
How can you legitimately push this idea of it's a 1-game season when you already have your university looking ahead to the game the next week?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'm a head coach, if I'm Shane Beamer, and I don't know how much he would have had in terms of trying to help plan this, my guess is very, very little, especially considering that the kids aren't in school for some reason all of next week. But I can't imagine he's happy about it because I would assume the team's got to go out there, right? It's a pep rally.
Well, right. I don't know if they still do that. They used to. Back in the day when sports was fun, before sports became nothing but a outlet for gamblers.
Job.
And that. But, I mean, think about this. And I say that because, the fight over the weekend, the Tyson-Jones fight. What?
Tyson, Jake Paul.
Jake Paul.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't pay any attention to it. But anyway, I heard this and read this, that, first of all, they had 73,000 in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
73,000 in attendance.
And who knows how many watching on Netflix.
What did I hear? 80 million? Some kind of obscene, and of course, Netflix couldn't handle it because the picture froze. Several times I'm listening to people who bought it and were watching it. First of all, I'm sorry. I am the world's biggest sports fan. Nobody will out-sports me when it comes to love of sports, okay? And I like boxing. I'm not crazy about it. I'm not Kevin Cohen-like about boxing. The landlord loves boxing. So I'm not like him. But I like a good prize fight. I like to –
Well –
excuse me. Did I invite you to talk? Thank you. I enjoy a good prize fight when it's important and you got real fighters going at one another. But that was an absolute ripoff and an absolute joke. But the other side of that is the gambling. I mean, the gambling, from what I heard, the wagering on that bout was like greater than any other sporting event like in history of gambling.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, Josh, go ahead. I wanted to get my
What
thought
I was
out
gonna,
before
no,
I
you're
forgot
good.
it.
What I was saying was that it was not pay-per-view. If you subscribed to Netflix, you got it. So that's why I'm sure if it was pay-per-view, it wouldn't have had such a higher attendance. Was also something I thought was cool is that they had the Monday Night Football game, or I guess it was 2 days after. Now that I'm thinking about it, but it's in the same. It was in the Dallas Cowboys Stadium.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and
big time.
And the Cowboys got punched out as well. They look like Mike
I do
Tyson
find it
out
funny
there.
though. I do find it funny you would characterize a recent Mike Tyson fight as a ripoff, considering how many, when he was in his prime, how many of those barely lasted a round.
Well, that's because I
and you
agree.
spend $40 or $50 on a
But-
pay-per-view to watch 2 seconds of Mike Tyson.
Well, and I was one of those that paid when Tyson, back on the closed circuit days, I was one of those that paid to go watch Tyson fight Michael Spinks, and he knocked him out in 30 seconds. And you know what?
Yeah.
I felt like I got my my money's worth, because back then Mike Tyson was a creature. I mean, he was, to me, he was great. He was just the greatest. He was like Tiger Woods of golf.
no
He
doubt.
was like, he was the man, and he was so simple in his approach. You noticed he wore nothing but black trunks and like a white cutoff T-shirt, nothing fancy. He walked into the ring, he knocked the guy out, he left. It was pretty simple stuff back then. It was beautiful. When he had Cus D'Amato, I think it was, Cus D'Amato, and they were up in the mountains of New York training. I remember reading about him in Sports Illustrated. They did a feature on him. He was like 19 years old. They put him on the cover of SI and said the next great heavyweight, Mike Tyson. And then he went out and proved it. But just to get back, what I was trying to
and
get
then Don
to.
King got his hands on Tyson, and Mike was never the same.
True that.
Especially financially.
True that. But what I was trying to get to, I'm afraid, and that made me think when I heard those numbers, when I heard those obscene numbers about that, and what I consider to be a non-sport event. You're talking about a 58-year-old man fighting a guy that is an internet sensation, right? He's an internet guy. Isn't that right?
he was on Disney Channel less than 5 years ago,
Doing what?
and he was on a TV show.
I mean, like what kind of show?
But he's on YouTube now,
Kids-
right, Josh?
He was a YouTube star, and then got a Disney Channel deal doing some kids
Is he a
TV
singer
show.
or a dancer? Or when did he become a boxer?
He became a boxer whenever another YouTuber decided they want to fight as some drama. They just wanted to fight. I think it was him. I'm not sure who it was.
Yeah.
But they wanted to fight, and they decided to fight, and then he just, I'm great. He won the fight. He knocked somebody out, then knocked the next YouTuber out, and now he thinks he's all that.
Well, he made $20 million off this thing.
Yeah.
I heard Tyson was going to make $60 million off of it.
I think it was the other way around, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Jake Paul got more than Mike Tyson did.
Either way, that's sweet. So my whole point in bringing this whole thing up, and we're off the subject tonight, but I had to get this out because it was on my mind. It's junk sport. To me, that's junk sport, okay? But there's enough people in this country that, find it to be entertaining. And, of course, they had women boxing prior to that. Apparently they had some kind of big-time, and that's just another topic for another day. I am not
They
watching.
had several on the undercard. It was like a typical heavyweight fight that you watched in the 80s and 90s. You'd have to wait until 11 o'clock for the main event because there were 6 or 7 other undercards that you'd have to waste your time getting through to get to Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Well, I am not watching two women box. I'm not
I get
watching
that.
two women fight unless they're fighting over me. If they're fighting over me and they look good enough, that's a whole nother story. But that hasn't happened in a long time. So I'm not watching
to
two
Phil's
women.
Lattice days.
I'm not watching two women. I don't care how scantily clad they are in their boxing outfits, stand in a ring and slug it out. To me, that's just junk sports. And that's what this was. But I'm going to get to my point, and that is all those people who bought tickets to go and all the gambling, all the viewers, and then you throw in the gambling. And what sports is becoming, maybe it's already there, but it's just becoming an outlet for the gamblers now. And I worry, like, do people still enjoy going to sporting events and rooting for their team for the sake of their team or their school, or is it all about the money, them making the money, all about the gamble now? Is it all about how much money I put down on this player to score a touchdown? Are we losing the actual sports side of going to sporting events? That's what I wonder about.
That's a fascinating question and a great debate. My guess is still at the collegiate level that we still have that semblance. Hey, that's my school. That's where I went to university. That's, I played there or whatever. I met my wife there. I met my husband there, whatever. I'm going there because I want to watch my team play. Now, at the NFL, the NBA level, at the professional level, the real pros, not the semi-pros at the collegiate level, I would bet probably 80% of the people watching games in the NFL are watching for one of two reasons: betting, gambling, or their fantasy football team, which they can also make money off of.
Yes, they can. All right, I just thought I'd throw that out there. By the way, I got 20
That's
on the
a really
Celtics.
great question, though.
I got 20 on the Celtics tonight against the Cavaliers. So, no, I don't.
Ooh, that might be actually a decent game.
Well, the Cavs
Have the Cavaliers lost yet?
They haven't lost. No, it's going to be it's in Boston. It's part of the NBA Cup. So, should be a lot of fun.
I love how the NBA had to make all these franchises, and I'm sure they didn't pay for it, come up with brand new courts for this.
Oh, I'm sure the NBA's taking care of that. I mean, somebody in the NBA office told Adam Stern, hey, you know what? To really get interest in this cup, why don't we use these real funky painted courts?
Exactly.
The
everything's
parquet,
the same, team color.
The parquet in Boston is no longer good enough for our cup, or the floor in the Garden no longer meets the requirements of hosting a cup event. Okay, enough about that. I want to get into your picks for the Palmetto Bowl. Not to look past Saturday. We can do that here. All right, we're allowed to. Next week's
Obviously,
a short
USC
week.
can too.
Yeah, next week's a short week with Thanksgiving, and everybody's going to be running hither and yonder. Your mind really, for much of the week, is going to be on something else until Friday. Then it's high school playoffs on Friday and traveling up to Clemson and all that kind of stuff. So I want to, over the next rest of this week and whatever we got next week, break it down and get you in the mindset of the Palmetto Bowl, South Carolina, Clemson. Smitty sent us something the other day. He saw on FanDuel early lines for that game. He had Clemson at 2.5, a favorite, 2.5. So that's about, we were talking the other night, I thought it'd be about a field goal, probably in Clemson's favor. These teams are so even. And so we'll kind of break it down, but I want to get into your picks as well, start keeping my list of predictions. Our phone number, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. We'll hear from the two head coaches tonight. One piece of news out of Clemson is that Troy Stillano is out for the rest of the season. That poor guy cannot stay healthy. He's got a thumb injury that's going to require surgery, so he's done. Dabo Sweeney's talking about his offensive line where they're trying to make decisions on guys they were trying to redshirt, but they may have to use them. They're so beat up on the offensive line.
Yeah.
It's amazing how this goes year to year. Some years you skate through without issues, and some years the devil's got you by the tail. I think that's the case up at Clemson this time. Back in just a moment.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, the Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. all backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there. Touchstone Energy cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, health care, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
We are back on Sports Talk on a Talking Tuesday. Phil Kornblut, Chris Bergen, and Josh Cohen. Phone number 888-898-2525. South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. If you want to join us, now's a good time to do so. We'll get to the coaches in our second hour. So go ahead and give us a call. We can get you on. Go ahead and get your predictions rolling on the South Carolina Clemson game and give you some recruiting a little bit later on as well. As I look at it right now, Chris, and we'll, if everything stays the same or pretty much the same coming out of this weekend, and obviously things can happen coming out of this weekend, whether that can affect the teams. You hope that it doesn't happen, but something could happen. But coming out of the weekend, if everything is pretty much the same, now I'm expecting that Clemson will possibly get Tristan Lee and Marcus Tate back for the left side of their offensive line. That will help.
They're going to need to.
Yeah, that will help, even though they haven't played in a little while, and that might, the adjustment to getting back to game speed and all that, don't know if that'll happen right away. But as I look at it right now, I think South Carolina is going to win the game up at Clemson. I think that they're just the better overall team, the way the two teams have come along this season. I think South Carolina is stronger in more areas. I think offensively, well, first of all, I think South Carolina is much more battle-tested than Clemson is.
Oh, yeah.
Week in, week out. On the road, at home, I just think, what does they like to say? Iron sharpens iron. Mm-hmm. That's one of Dabo's favorite phrases up there. So I think you apply that to what South Carolina is. They have gotten better because they've had to get better because they've had to play really good competition. Not every team they've played has a great record, but going to Oklahoma and winning, even though they're down some, that's still an impressive feat to beat Texas A&M the way they did, to go to Vandy and beat a nationally ranked team, then turn around and beat Missouri at home, a nationally ranked team. And the way they did it in those situations, that says a lot about them. They've got a quarterback who's getting better by the game and more comfortable. You've got an offensive coordinator who is making some excellent play calls to fit his offense. They've got a receiving core that is emerging now that you've got Nick Harbor more involved. Now, one note, Jared Brown is a little dinged up coming out of the game this past Saturday, according to Shane Beamer, and right now he's expecting him to be okay for Saturday, but he might not be. Otherwise, just Brady Hunt is out. The number 2 tight end is out for the rest of the regular season. But I'd have to say South Carolina. Oh, and by the way, it looks like Josiah Thompson will be back starting at left tackle. He's ready to go. They've got to be one of the healthiest teams in the country after 10 games. I mean, nobody is like as healthy as these guys are as a group, which is a very positive thing in their favor. Then the Gamecock defense is as good as anybody's. I give South Carolina the edge in punting. Believe it or not, when it comes to field goal kicking, I have to lean towards Clemson, assuming they can get it off the ground.
They can get it airborne.
If they can get it airborne, I mean, Hoosier's got a stronger leg than Herrera does, no question about that. It gives Clemson a little more range there, though you don't want to be settling for long field goals. But I guarantee you, if they line up to kick a field goal, South Carolina special teams, they're going to have something funky in store to try to add to Clemson's misery there with another block kick. So I I am taking the Gamecocks going up there as things stand right now. And, they won up there a couple of years ago. It was a really close game. They had to come from behind. They were 14 points down. They win by a point. I'm not so sure the Gamecocks, for once in their life, don't go up there and kind of handle Clemson, and they don't have to sweat it out. I'm thinking it could be something along the lines of a 35-24 game, South Carolina, because I just think they're the better team overall at this point in time. And you say?
Well, I would agree with you on the better team. And if I'm a Clemson fan, I'm scared to death about the issues they've got on offense right now. 9 offensive linemen have missed practice. If they don't get all those guys back, how in the world do you protect Cade Klubnik against one of the best defensive fronts they have seen all year? Clearly, that's a huge advantage for the Gamecocks. And also, if Phil Maffa is indeed, as you reported last night, maybe dealing with a shoulder, and they have no faith in anybody else in the run game other than Cade Klubnik, if Maffa ends up where he couldn't go, I don't see how Clemson moves the football. I really don't. Because if you can't run it against South Carolina, you know what the Gamecocks are going to do. All right, let's see how you deal with Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart. And if they're banged up offensively, especially across the front line, I just don't see how Clemson handles that defense. It moves the football enough to get enough points on the board where their defense, which is not nearly what we thought it would be. You told me at the beginning of the season that South Carolina's defense would be better than Clemson's defense when those two teams got together. I'd have laughed you out of the building.
Yeah.
I really would.
Yeah.
But that's the case. I mean, that's the case across all 3 levels, I think. The Gamecocks are just better across the board. And if Clemson can't block up front to run the football, Cade Klubnik's going to be a sitting duck against a really good pass rush.
And Clemson's going to be depending, I think, too much on Klubnik. Now, look, Klubnik can make some things happen, and Antonio Williams can make some things happen in particular, and those 2 other receivers, they can make some things happen, and they can find Brenningstool. Not saying that Clemson won't have its plays, won't have its big plays, won't have plays down the field. I just don't know that they'll have enough of them, and you can't rely on Klubnik to take off and run every time the pressure breaks down the protection and he has to scramble. Eventually that catches up with you as well. All right, to the phones, 888-898-2525. Let's go first tonight to Nick in Gaston. Hello, Nick. Welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Hey, we're doing great, man. Hope you're doing well.
All right. Well, I have to say up front, I'm a lifelong Clemson and Tennessee fan. They're pretty much split down the middle for me, so I get hate from all y'all, so I'm good with it. But,
ain't no hate here, brother. Just observations.
I think Clemson's going to win. I mean, I know they're not top-notch right now, but even if they don't, it ain't the worst thing in the world. We still got 3 natties and a lot of other stuff in the case. So I'll put my money on Clemson this year, and I got one question for the rest of the radio fans out there.
Well, give me a score. Give me a score, because I'm going to keep your name and keep your score so we can go back and look.
I'm not good at scores, but I'll take what you just said except flip it. All right?
35.
What did you say 35-24 or something like that?
Yes, you want Clemson
35-24. Yeah.
All right, gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha. All right.
I got one question for Gamecock Larry, not so much him, but anybody in radio land. When is USC going to get the first natty? I mean, y'all are on the roll. You got a super team right now. When's it in the future? Any predictions?
Yeah. And thank you very much. We'll kick that around after the break. That was actually one of our poll questions a little while back. When will South Carolina play for a national championship, get in the playoffs? And I mean, I think that's a legitimate question, and I think it's a legitimate thing to ponder. And I don't think it's blowing smoke.
If they don't have the LSU game stolen from them by the officials, they're in the playoffs right now this year.
Oh, that's a good point. Thank you for the phone call. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and mild with a low dipping down to 60. The rain continues tomorrow morning. We'll have some wind gusts approaching 30 to 40 miles per hour. We're clearing in the afternoon. The high is 71. Thursday and Friday look great. Sunshine, but cooler with highs around 60 degrees. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. That's the Sweet Comfort promise.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Northern California and the Pacific Northwest are bracing for what is expected to be a powerful storm. Heavy rain and winds are set to pummel the region and potentially cause power outages and flash floods. The Weather Prediction Center issued excessive rainfall risks beginning today and lasting through Friday. Those come as the strongest atmospheric river, long plumes of moisture stretching far over the Pacific Ocean that California and the Pacific Northwest has seen this season bears down on the region. Officials say Ukraine fired several American-supplied longer-range missiles into Russia, marking the first time Kyiv has used such weapons since the start of the war. The Kremlin said Tuesday that it shot down 5 Army Tactical Missile System missiles and damaged a sixth. More at srnnews.com.
You don't normally call a plumber until you need a plumber. Well, if you need one today or if you need one tomorrow, I want you to remember Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. Listen, I might not know all the tricks to turning a wrench, but I do know how a plumbing company should work and how to treat people. My dad was a plumber, my grandfather was a plumber, and so were 3 of my uncles. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning does it right. They are the epitome of customer service. They're locally owned and operated, and Josh and his team, well, they put customer service as the top priority for Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. I've never known a business owner more intent on making it a great experience for people. And let's face it, when you have a plumbing crisis, well, that could be traumatic. They specialize in service and replacement issues for your home or for your business. They've been to my home and fixed 3 different plumbing issues I had in the house. If you need them, they're there to help. Online at franklinplumbing.sc.com or call Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning 799-2222. That's 799-2222. And tell them Kev sent you from The Point.
The hunting season is here. Whether you hunt in the woods or near the water, Palmetto State Armory has you covered with everything you need for the season. PSA has a complete inventory of AR-style rifles, bolt-action rifles, shotguns, ammunition, outdoor apparel, decoys, and more from all of your favorite brands. Visit PalmettoStateArmory.com to find the store nearest you. Palmetto State Armory, American-made for life.
Hey y'all, my name's Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. It is football at Flight Deck. We are thrilled about football season. Of course, when you're watching football, there's nothing better than wings and ice cold adult beverages. We here at Flight Deck are offering some of the most delicious meaty wings that you'll ever wrap your lips around. Flight Deck Restaurant's got hot flamethrower wings, barbecue wings, teriyaki wings, honey mustard wings. Flight Deck will be featuring Carolina and Clemson football on all the TVs all the time. So come see some great football, enjoy great wings, and sip some ice cold adult beverages. Flight Deck Restaurant in Lexington. Thanks y'all and God bless.
If you step onto H&J Cattle Company's farm, you'll find third-generation farmers upholding the legacy. They embrace sustainability and take immense pride in their craft, raising cattle purely on nature's offerings, without growth hormones, antibiotics, or animal byproducts. The result? Unmatched quality beef that's not just good, it's the best in South Carolina. Experience the distinct flavor of our finest registered Hereford and Wagyu beef. Visit us online at hdjcattle.co or on Instagram and Facebook at H&J Cattle CO.
Hi, John here from Redbird Windows and Doors. You know what really bothers me about my industry? It's gimmicks instead of honesty. With Redbird, it's pretty simple. We do absolutely great work, we're local, and our projects are fairly priced. If you're ready for some new windows and doors or need our help, you'll get high-quality materials, service, and my personal guarantee. Online, find us at redbirdwindows.com or call me directly at 727-0561. That's 727-0561. Redbird Windows and Doors.
Sports talk every weeknight from 6 to 8, feeling just right. Phil, Chris, and Josh, they're in the zone. Across South Carolina, they're well known. Sports talk, bringing the heat. Talking sports, can't be beat. Tune in, don't you pout. It's a show you can't live without.
All right, we're back. debuting our new theme song. I like that.
If you cut it off before they mess up our last names, that was the funniest part of the song.
Well, we don't want to embarrass ourselves any more than we naturally do. All right. Oh, also want to mention, if you follow us here on Sports Talk and you've been following us online, and a lot of you had, we had like 22,000 plus followers over the years on Twitter and then X. As you know, a few weeks ago we got hacked on the account, and the account got shut down. And why are you making that? Why are you making that funny face? It was a hack. It's a hack job. Okay, I opened something I shouldn't have opened, but it was still a hack job by the Chinese. I'm surprised I didn't get COVID out of it or something. But anyway, so we got hacked and it got shut down, and we've now created another account that is the same thing we've always done. I mean, we use our X to post our news information, links to the stories on our website. We repost what we think are interesting stories from others in the recruiting world, the news world. So anyway, that new account, hopefully you'll go follow it, is at Sports Talk Posts. You know, on X, they don't call them tweets. They call them posts. Twitter was tweets. X, it's posts. So at Sports Talk Posts, pretty simple, and give us a follow. Have you given us a follow, Mr. Bergen?
I have, only because it's the only Twitter account I have.
Yeah.
I don't have a Twitter account, so I can't follow us, so I just use us.
Well, you don't have your own Twitter account, is what you're telling me.
Never have.
Yeah? What are you, anti-social media or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If I want to talk to somebody that badly, I'll call you on the phone. But it is a valuable resource. I'm not going to diminish the importance of Twitter or X now, but yeah, I just don't have one.
Yeah. Well, we got ours now, so everybody go over there and give us a follow if you'd like. We'd appreciate it at Sports Talk Posts. At Sports Talk Post. What do you got?
I do have a question before we get back to the phones.
Yeah, well, you just go right ahead.
Since we have the women's basketball version of the Palmetto Bowl tomorrow at Clemson.
Oh, by the way, I'm picking the Gamecocks to win that game. But here's the question. Do you think Clemson will keep it under 40? Do you think Clemson will play them to within 40?
After they lost by 69 last year. They're at home, new coach, new energy. Do they keep it under 40?
Yeah.
The blowout.
Yeah. I don't know a thing about
possible.
The Clemson team. I know they have one player who's like supposedly pretty good, but I don't know that one's going to be enough. Do they have the size to match up with the South Carolina women? South Carolina women have already played some quality opponents, I guess. Michigan, NC State come to mind. So I would expect the South Carolina women to roll in this one tomorrow night without too much of a sweat. Okay, phone number 888-898-2525. We go to, it's Sam down in Charleston with us next on the program. Hello, Sam. I know you're getting ready for the big Charleston and Citadel battle tomorrow night over at the Citadel.
I have two words. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Oh, Sam, have you ever gone to the Citadel? Have you ever walked on the campus of the Citadel?
Well, actually, it's funny you said that. So I graduated from Bishop England, and I graduated at the McAllister Fieldhouse with my high school friends.
Oh, okay.
So I think, what year was that? I graduated.
I wasn't there.
2000, and I think it was like 12 years ago from last June.
That you graduated from Bishop England?
Yeah, since 2011. And then we also graduated with my class at the McAllister Fieldhouse. I can tell you, it hit me tons of bricks to see that building. I got to tell you.
Well, they've sold out all the tickets, all the single game tickets for that game sold out according to the Citadel. So good luck getting in there with, I guess the other tickets going to season ticket holders and all that. So Bulldogs are pretty pumped up about having the Cougs in their backyard along the river over there.
Well, actually, I have a two-part question to ask you. I want to start a conversation with you, but not too long. But have you guys talked to Pat Kelsey lately? And how's he doing?
Well, no, I haven't talked to him in maybe, I don't know, 8 years, 9 years. But it looks like he's doing okay over there at Louisville. They did get beat by Kentucky, I think, a little while ago. Was that?
Well,
so I think that was. But I think I think from what I've read, I think the folks over there are generally pleased with what he's doing and how he's trying to turn things around there. He stepped into a hot mess down there at Louisville.
Well, actually, I have one point of question. Is I have an Apple TV. Is the Louisville game basketball on ACC network? Because
Yes.
I cannot get it.
Yes, Louisville basketball. Their games will be available on the ACC network, and also the other. Whenever their games are big enough to be picked up by the other outlets. But you can always find it if you've got a smart television. You can pick up the streams. Every game will be available either ACC network or ESPN Plus or something like that.
Well, actually, I have an Apple TV. Does that work?
Yes, that's a smarty. That's a smarty TV.
I want to ask Chris. I have Chris.
Chris,
a quick question.
Chris, wake up. Sam's got a question
here.
for you.
I'm here, and by the way, it was Tennessee that blew out Louisville. They haven't had to deal.
No,
with
okay, that's who it
Kentucky
was.
yet.
It was Tennessee. Okay. Fourth mistake of the night, but I'm not counting. Go ahead.
So,
I blew the
Chris,
name of the boxer. What was his name again? John Paul Jones? Or just Paul? Just something Paul?
No, not the drummer from Led Zeppelin.
Go ahead, Sam.
I have a quick question to ask you about the thing about this week and next week. So when I was born, my birthday was May 2nd, 1990. Who was the first golfer to win the Ryder Cup? Because my grandpa was a golfer. And my parents took me. Actually, hang on. It was my parents took me to my first Ryder Cup when I was a kid.
How many Ryder Cups have you been to?
So when I was a kid, it's my first one, and I don't know who won that.
Well, the Americans won it. Sam, we got to run. Thank you very much. I guess you went to the one at the Ocean Course, the War by the Shore. The Americans won that.
Was great.
Got the Ryder Cup. Yeah, you know what was so cool about that is, that was held in. That must have been held in August of that year. No, or was it September? Probably September because the PGA was still in August. But that was the year '92 that Florida State joined the ACC, and the ACC football kickoff, so to speak, back then. Because Florida State had joined the league, they had it at the Ocean Course. They brought in all the coaches, and the media, and we played golf. And the Ocean Course had been set up for the Ryder Cup. So this had to be...
Well, the Ryder Cup was in late September.
Yeah, so this had to be... We had to play pre-Ryder Cup, but it was set up. They had the little flags, little national flags on there and all that kind of stuff. And, that was great. We got a great media gift, too. They gave us these leather bags that you only get like one time because it was a special event. Florida State was joining the league.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that was kind of
cool.
That was really, really cool. Yeah, back in '92. Thank you, Sam. Appreciate that.
What was the question Sam was going to ask me about his birthday? I lost.
If he wanted to know if you knew when his birthday was. I think that's what. By the way, speaking of that, here's a couple of things. Today is the anniversary. Let's see, what number would it be? 1977. It was on this day in 1977 that Jerry Butler caught that pass in the end zone at Williams-Brice.
Wow!
I saw video of that today. That's back when they played 11-game season.
I was going to
say
maybe
even a 10-game season. Might have been even a 10 or 11-game season back then. Yeah, but it was on this day. What is today? Today's the 18th?
The 19th.
Today's the 19th? Mm-hmm. November 19th, 1977. Where were you, Josh? Were you watching that game? No, you weren't, huh? Where were you?
I may have actually been in Hartsville. I was 7. Trying to remember. I think we were in Hartsville at the time. So I probably paid attention to the game. I just don't remember it.
So I was a student at South Carolina, sitting in the stands, and I had gone to work as an intern for Bill Wagey at 560 in Columbia. And it was one of my first ever assignments. Well, it wasn't my first, but I think it was pretty much close to it. My assignment was to cover the Clemson locker room. And, I was in no shape to cover the Clemson locker room after that game, as you might imagine.
Mm-hmm.
But being the hardcore journalist that I was in 1977, I put everything aside and marched in there. Now, Bill told me I had no idea what I was stepping into. He said, because I'd never been in a locker room before. This was my first locker room experience. He said they'll have the names of the players taped above their lockers and just, pick out who you want to talk to and go to their locker. And so this is back when they let reporters in the locker rooms, back when you could really do your job. So I go down there and I wait outside and they open up the locker room. Clemson had won, of course. They're smoking cigars in there, all that kind of stuff. It was that fabulous, fantastic game. And I walk in there and the first thing that hit me was these dudes are walking around naked. I mean, I'm serious. Yep. These dudes are walking around in the buff. That's the first thing I had to deal with. And then the second thing was there were no names on top of the lockers.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Especially the visiting team.
Yeah, there was no names above the lockers. So they're walking around naked. There's no names on the lockers. And I followed the TV crews because I figured they knew where they were going. And, of course, you couldn't get to the people they were talking to. So I went looking for a player, and I saw a guy sitting by his locker. He looked pretty beat up, so I said, okay, this must be a player. And I walked over to him and said, hey, can I ask you a few questions about the game? He said, yeah. I said, well, first of all, who are you? That was my first question. Who are you? It turned out to be Ken Calicut, the running back, who had a big touchdown run in the game. I said, all right, I know you did something because I remember that. So I did a little interview with Ken Calicut, my first interview.
I respect you, though, for asking him that because most reporters today would just, not ask that question because they would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
So, but you did what you're supposed to do. You had to find out who your subject was first. Yeah. So,
I wouldn't have known what to ask if I didn't know who it was.
Yeah.
Was this guy a safety? Was he a receiver? No, it was Ken Calicut, running back, and he had a big play in the game. I think he had the touchdown run. South Carolina had, he had the touchdown run early in the second half, kind of put Clemson up, and you kind of felt like the game was over. And then the Gamecocks came back and had a comeback. They broke a long touchdown run, and then I think obviously they scored again to go up in the last couple of minutes before Clemson put that drive together and went down the field. So anyway, that's always been an experience that has stuck in my head over the years because it's the first time that I've been put in that situation. All right, we run to the break here on Sports Talk. Sam, we appreciate the phone call. And the number 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. So I'm going with the Gamecocks a week from Saturday, and you are as well? Did you decide on a score? Have you settled on a score?
I have not picked a score yet. No, I have not. I'm not sure I see as many points up on the board. But, yeah, I feel a little bit more confident in USC right now than I do Clemson.
All right, we'll hit the break. Be back with more in a moment.
Hi, this is Billy Downer from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Are you looking for a safe place to shoot your rifle or handgun? Did you know that the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources operates 4 manned ranges across the state in Pickens County, Spartanburg County, Richland County, and Charleston County? For more information on our public ranges, visit dnr.sc.gov/shooting.
Some insurance carriers are based in another state or only have an online presence. Not at Farm Bureau Insurance. They're a local South Carolina company that believes commitment comes with a handshake. Become part of the Farm Bureau Insurance family today by calling Buddy Bridges at 864-984-0413 or stop by the Upstate office at 726 East Main Street in Lawrence.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. It's live weight. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool. 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble Course 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
All right, back we are. Sports Talk Media Network, 888-898-2525. Don't forget the Sports Talk text line number, which is 803-900-4847. Just send us a text. Happy to read those on the air. Again, that's 803-900-4847. And let's go to the texts and see what we've got here. This is from Tony from Lancaster. Says, let's face it, Phil, Beamer is... And talking about last night, we were talking about him going for fourth down, going after a first down on fourth down so much. Mm-hmm. Beamer is the most aggressive coach in America, and I love it. Todd and Tommy were great Saturday. Tony from Lancaster. Also, he writes talking about. I'm trying to remember what this text is about. It was because we had 12 players out on defense. It had nothing to do about Clemson being good. They couldn't stop Debo. Oh. Are they talking about – I think he's talking about the
he's talking about
high-scoring game up at Clemson. Yeah.
Yeah, Jake Bentley had 5 touchdown passes,
yeah.
And you said it was the most inconsequential 5 TD passes in the history of football.
Yeah.
Because Clemson was not going to be stopped that day.
Yeah. Yeah, he says because the Gamecocks had 12 players out on defense. Well, I don't remember all that, but Clemson's offense that day was not going to be stopped.
No, they were a different stratosphere.
It was not going to be stopped. Okay, that's it, I think, for our messages so far, 888-898-2525, and some other notes from the day as we look over a few things that have caught our eye. Some more honors today for both South Carolina and Clemson players who had the huge games on Saturday. We're talking Lenora Sellers, and we're talking, of course, T.J. Parker, both outstanding on Saturday. So Sellers has been named the National Player of the Week on offense by the Maxwell Football Club. He was 21 of 30, career-high 353 yards, career-high 5 touchdowns in the win over Mizzou. And T.J. Parker is the Bednarik Award Player of the Week. That's kind of like the National Defense Player of the Week, also by the Maxwell Club for his performance against Pitt. He had 7 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. He was incredible. Now, the Pitt quarterback made for a pretty easy target back there from a sack standpoint. He wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
You could beat your blocker. You had a chance to get to him.
And Barrett Carter should have gotten the Cal Ripken Award for the week. Did I see he played 93 snaps in the game?
Yeah.
Never came out? That's amazing.
Well, keep in mind now they are – and another player to talk about for Clemson is Woodaz. He's got a leg issue, kept him out of the game last Saturday. Dabo said today that it's improving. It's gone from the issue's gone from his thigh down to his calf, It's kind of a draining sort of thing. And so it's about pain tolerance and all that kind of stuff. So I guess they're hoping that he'll be, if he's not ready for this week, then he'll probably be ready for South Carolina. But in his stead, they've gotten some good play from D. Clayton, getting in there and getting a chance to play and show what he can do. And they're going to have to depend on him because they're thin at linebacker right now. Of course, Sammy Brown's going to have to sit out the first half of the Citadel game because of the targeting call against him the other day. What'd you think of that targeting call?
Was that the one where they later reviewed it and he hit the
No.
quarterback in his head?
No, that was on Creighton.
Ah, got you. No, unfortunately, I didn't get to see the game because Clemson was playing at the same time that Coastal was.
Mm-hmm.
And so, to me, any targeting call, I can tell you why it shouldn't have been one and why it should have been one if it wasn't. So I'm like Dabo. I have no idea what targeting is in college sports anymore.
Yeah, the interpretation is so subjective now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really,
and it shouldn't be. It should be hard. It should be, black and white. It should be red letter law here. There are three things that you should look for, and it should never change. Launching at somebody, I think we can all agree that's targeting. Forcible contact with head and shoulders, with the crown of your helmet, that's targeting. Everything else, it seems like it's debatable, and it shouldn't be. This should be, especially considering it's the one for safety. Got a kid that was playing quarterback at Coastal Carolina and at NC State had to retire from the game because officials didn't legislate targeting well enough, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Grayson McCall had enough concussions to suit us all, unfortunately. And part of it was because, he just kept putting himself in harm's way. And there were several, including the last one he ever took, they didn't review at both Coastal and at NC State, unfortunately.
Well, you look at the Clemson depth chart as it stands now on defense, and they've really taken a hit with the injuries. No Capehart, of course, available right now for this week's game. Probably no Woodaz. No Sammy Brown for the first half. So you're counting on D. Creighton stepping in and having to play a good bit. You're talking about Barrett Carter having to play a lot of plays. Maybe Jamal Anderson, I think he was playing some against Pitt as well. Probably going to have to play him more. So on the one hand, you're without some of your top experienced guys. On the other hand, you give these young guys a chance to play. That's going to help you down the road because now they're not going to be, so inexperienced moving forward. And, of course, R.J. Mickens, I think he'll be okay. He was a little dinged up late in the Pitt game trying to make that play over by the pylon, and I think he should be okay. Of course, Sherrod Coville got in some the other day. They're having to play him. Ashton Hampton. He replaced Jaden Lucas. It wasn't an injury thing. It was a performance thing, Sweeney said after the game. Just Hampton's playing better than Lucas. So I don't know if we have a changing of the guard going on there at that particular cornerback spot. But they're really high on Hampton. Good size at 6'2", 200. Maybe playing a little bit better there than Lucas has to this point. And, of course, you got Avion Terrell on the other side, and he's obviously a very solid, consistent player. But the injury situation at Clemson is going to be something to really pay attention to going into the game next week. And if you're Shane Beamer, you're doing everything you can. You're using every formula, every witch doctor recipe, everything you can to keep the injury cloud from coming anywhere near your program over the next week and a half, because you got a group 10 weeks into a season that's in really good shape, and some bumps and bruises and some are nicked up here and there, but from the standpoint of major issues, they don't have that worry compared to what they had this time last year. We'll be back.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. Donald Trump continues to announce key personnel for his incoming administration. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
The president-elect said he is nominating longtime TV talk show host Dr. Mehmet Oz to lead the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. In a statement, Trump said Oz will cut waste and fraud within the country's most expensive government agency. He also has chosen his transition co-chair, Howard Lutnick, to be Commerce Secretary. Lutnick, who was said to be in the running for Treasury Secretary, is a billionaire who heads the brokerage and investment bank Cantor Fitzgerald. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Federal funds are being requested to rebuild the collapsed Baltimore Francis Scott Key Bridge, which was knocked down by a cargo ship.
The president's pending request to Congress for nearly $100 billion in emergency disaster aid includes money to rebuild Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge after a deadly collapse in March. Maryland's congressional delegation is also working to secure 100% federal funding to cover the nearly $2 billion in estimated reconstruction costs. Lawmakers are meeting in a lame duck session to finish key priorities before a new Congress and the incoming Trump administration takes over. I'm Shirley Adler.
Northern California and the Pacific Northwest are bracing for what's expected to be a powerful storm. Heavy rain and winds are set to pummel the region and potentially cause power outages and flash floods. The Weather Prediction Center issued excessive rainfall risks beginning today and lasting through Friday. Those come as long plumes of moisture stretching far over the Pacific Ocean that California and the Pacific Northwest has seen this season bears down on the region. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 120 points. More at townhall.com.
If you just grin and bear it or bite the bullet when it comes to everyday pain, don't. Try Relief Factor, a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. Relief Factor doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. It's 100% drug-free, it's developed by doctors. In 3 weeks or less, you'll know whether it works for you like it works for me. Try Relief Factor for yourself. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
Hi, Rhett Rasmussen of BestHotGrill.com. Step up your grilling game with our Solaire portable infrared grills. Our compact everywhere is a favorite of RVers and trailer pullers. Solaire infrared provides the quick sear for bar marks and texture needed to properly finish sous vide. Use a portable alongside your larger conventional grill to create an instant sear zone and more juicy and flavorful food. Learn more at BestHotGrill.com. Affordable, powerful, portable infrared grills at BestHotGrill.com.
Walmart's promise of low prices proves to be a powerful draw in the third quarter.
Walmart ratcheted up sales and profits again in the third quarter with its comparatively low prices proving a powerful draw for shoppers seeking to cut spending where they could. The nation's largest retailer raised its outlook for the year as well. Walmart reported net income of $4.58 billion or 57 cents per share in the 3 months ending October 31st. That compares with $4.53 billion in the year-ago period. 5 cents better than Wall Street had expected. I'm Julie Walker.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says he won't make a clemency decision on the murder convictions of Eric and Lyle Menendez until newly elected Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman reviews the case. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and mild with a low dipping down to 60. The rain continues tomorrow morning. We'll have some wind gusts approaching 30 to 40 miles per hour. We're clearing in the afternoon. The high is 71. Thursday and Friday look great. Sunshine, but cooler with highs around 60 degrees. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
From the Bart Fireside Studio, the solution for keeping you warm this winter.
This is 107 The Point.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk Media Network on this Talking Tuesday. And, of course, our Talking Tuesday is brought to you by Touchstone Energy. Don't forget the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl, December 21st, a week later than normal, because everything is a week later than normal because nothing was normal with this high school football season in South Carolina. But we'll have that game for you right here on the Sports Talk Media Network on December 21st. Coverage all week long once they get there, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, leading up to the game on Saturday. A lot of other activities around the game, such as the enshrinement of the latest group of coaches selected for the South Carolina Football Coaches Hall of Fame, and this High School Football Coaches Hall of Fame, and the naming of Mr. Football at halftime of the game. It's got a lot of good stuff coming up related to that. But right now it's time to hear from the coaches. Dabo Swinney, Shane Beamer, their weekly press conferences today, previewing their games with the Citadel and with Wofford, respectively. Clemson has the earlier kickoff at 3:30. You can catch that game on your favorite channel, the C-Dub, the CW. And where can you find the CW on your cable system, Mr. Bergen?
I think it's 5, Channel 5.
I don't know.
On Spectrum here over in the PD. I believe that's right. I watch more high school football in the CW than I do college football.
Is that Alan Smothers?
That would be Alan and Coach Jordan.
Oh, what a combination. I'm surprised.
They are.
Really surprised that they haven't bumped Buck and Aikman on the Monday night call, you know. Smothers and Coach Jordan. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Quite the combination.
Like I said, they are a hoot.
Yep.
To say the least.
All right. Anyway, to Dabo Swinney previewing the Tigers game coming up against the Citadel, updating things regarding his team coming off that win at Pittsburgh. Here's Dabo Swinney.
Thank you, Ross. Good morning, everybody. Well, we're happy to be back home. First of all, been obviously on the road these couple weeks, and two tough, hard-fought wins, and now we get to come back here in the Valley, and a lot going on these next couple weeks. This week is a celebration for us of our seniors. Number one, we've got a great group of seniors that are kind of winding their career down here with their home schedule, and we'll take this week and really celebrate them individually. And then next week, they'll just kind of come down the hill as a group for their last game. But military appreciation, and all Clemson people know how important that is to our university. And honestly, I don't think anybody does it better. I mean, it's just it's one of my favorite days of the year, every single year. All that goes into it, and just honoring our military, their service, and also the heritage that we have here at Clemson. So special time, with a lot to celebrate on that front. And then got a good Citadel team coming in here that's won 3 out of their last 4. They're playing with a lot of confidence. Got a lot of respect for Coach Drayton and Citadel. Just their university, their program. I actually had a chance a couple years ago to go and speak to all the cadets. That's really one of the coolest things I've had a chance to do. Spoke to all their cadets out on the quad or whatever they call it there, where they gather in the formation, and that was really cool. And I got a chance to go and tour all the facilities and spend some time with Coach Drayton and his staff. And in fact, they gave me a really nice ball, and I've got in my office, I've got a sword. I guess it's called a sword or saber, whatever you call it. I mean, it's legit too. So that's my weapon in my office. But they've done a nice job. I mean, they're changing their identity. As far as, when you think about the Citadel, you think about, at least for me, all my years, you think about triple option football. and it's different. They still have some option principles, but they're throwing the ball around. They got a lot of zone read and some RPO stuff and different things that they do within their offense, which is different from what we saw last time we played them. But man, they play hard, and I think the other thing is this is their last game. This is it for them. So when you look across their personnel on both sides, and they're too deep, they got a lot of graduates, got a lot of seniors, and so this isn't a game where hey, they got a game next week and they've got to be smart with some guys. This is a game where they got really nothing to lose. So you expect probably every trick in the book that you can think of. So we've got to be ready. We've got to go and play with a lot of precision. And really the focus for us is, it's never really who we play. It's always about how we play. And that's really what we're focused on is just trying to put all three phases together, try to play our best football, down the stretch here in these last, 12, 13 days, whatever we got left, and see if we can have a great finish, because that's really what it's all about. We've had a really good year, but we want to finish with a great year, and we've got an opportunity to do that if we can finish the right way. So, guys are got a lot of wind in their sails, especially coming off a win like that, really special moment, and excited to get back out there this weekend, and again, it's always a lot of fun to as we go through this week with all the stuff that happens as we celebrate our military heritage here, and we have a lot of military families on our team. A lot of our families have had time in the military, so we'll take a little time to honor that, as well as some opportunity to show appreciation for our seniors and this great group of guys. Man, it's a special group, and excited to see them finish well.
Do you think moving Peter inside sort of helped free up TJ and Jaheim and made the matchups better for them just by nature of how much attention Peter draws?
No, I don't think it had anything to do with how TJ played. I think TJ, he won his matchup regardless of who is playing inside. I mean, he played his best game of the year, and it was just awesome to see. I think the biggest thing is, again, with K-Part out, you're just trying to get your best people on the field, but the other thing is, as we've seen, I mean, this is game, we're 8-2, played 10 games, and you want to see guys develop, and we've seen that with our ends. We weren't there at the beginning of the season. We just weren't. And again, you want to put your best guys out there, and if you go back and you look at, the start of our season, they played pretty good up front early. And, obviously Peter's missed some time, and we've had some guys in and out of the lineup, but Peyton's been incredibly steady for us all year. But I just think the improvement of our ends, I mean, they've made the improvement. That's what you want to see. They're a lot of young sophomores. Hoffler didn't hardly have any experience. He's really improved. Jaheim had just a little as a redshirt freshman, now as a redshirt sophomore. Now he's just gotten better. Those guys have really taken a step. Armand had never played. And now he's carved out a little bit of a role for us, and so and then Denhoff is, we knew he'd be a very steady guy for us, and he's been that. But so we've just been able to build some more depth there to where we can, trust those guys to get the job done, and that's what frees up, Peter to be able to play what his natural position is. I mean, we recruited him to be a D tackle, but like I said, he can play anything. Just no different than Christian. Christian was a D tackle. He plays D tackle, but he played a good bit of end too. So you're just always trying to get your best people on the field. But this past game, that's all T.J. Parker, 1,000%. Ain't got nothing to do with nobody but T.J. Parker, and his will, his effort, his preparation, his relentlessness, his technique. Coach Rump's done a great job with him and, helping him come along. So it was an awesome performance. And, again, he's still a young player. And, he's still growing into, what his potential is and what he can be. So good to see him have a moment like that and playing, again, his best football down the stretch here. And I'd say the same thing just for our defensive line as a whole. As awful as we were in the Louisville game, they've really, I mean, they've played well these past 2 weeks, and it's good to see those guys step up.
You kind of made it sound Sunday like, we're going to throw what we can out there on the offensive line. Do you have any updates there? Would you consider?
Yeah, I think we got 9 guys out for practice today, so we're just trying to figure out how to practice today. So it's going to be interesting.
Both Roman, I think, and Mason have 3 games. I mean, are they?
No, they have 1 game.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've played 3.
Yeah. Oh, played 3, yeah.
So would you consider them, or?
Well, we consider everything, absolutely. Yep, we definitely consider that. Ronan's been starting on us at field goal, and so, he's a guy that we may have to use, and then, we'll have to figure it out next week. And then, Mason is a guy that we'd like to hold if we can, with our situation, because, I mean, he could help us win the game, next week. And, you don't want to, waste a year, but you got to do what you got to do to win the game you're playing. So, I mean, we got what we got. We got to make it work. You're going to see some, we got guys like Will Boggs. Y'all going to be looking up in your media guide, trying to figure out, you're going to see some guys maybe playing out of position, but we got to find a way. Got to do what we got to do to get it done. And hopefully, again, we got some guys trending in a good direction, but as we sit right now on Tuesday, we're trying to figure out how we're going to practice today.
And is that 9 OL that's out?
9 OL. Yeah. So, and obviously we lost, Dietrich's been out for a while. Watson, we lost at the beginning of the year. Ian Reed, we lost at the beginning of the year. And, we've been pretty good. We've actually been pretty lucky, but we just kind of hit a little rough patch with the situation, obviously, with Tristan and Marcus, and then boom, Elijah, worst case scenario happened. So, and Sadler, Sadler really probably has hurt us more than anything, because Sadler can play everywhere, and he's such a good player. So, I mean, it's been a tough deal, but hey, we'll figure it out. That's what we got to do. We got no excuses. We got to find a way to make it work. So, Chat Pendergrass, we got some walk-on guys that are going to have to come through for us, and then we got some guys that are going to have to maybe play out of position.
I know you're frustrated with the targeting call on Saturday after the game. Just curious, when you went back and watched the tape, if you still felt that way and what your conversation was like.
I still feel exactly with what I said. I don't know what it is. I don't know what targeting is. Again, I go back. You just look at the Cal-Miami game. I mean, if that's not targeting, I don't know what targeting is. I see a lot of times I'm like, no way, that's targeting, and they call targeting. And then I see, well, that's definitely targeting, and they don't call targeting. So I don't know. Nothing changed. Again, I'm going to have to go to a seminar in the off season because it's different. Week to week, league to league, ref to ref. It's different. Surely y'all can agree with that. I mean, it's just different. And I'm not talking about a specific play. I'm talking about just in general, I don't know what it is. I mean, I thought I did, but again, there's a bunch of times I'm watching games and I say, well, that is 100% targeting. Nope. And then other times, no way, that's targeting, and they leave it as targeting. So it's very subjective, in my opinion.
Kind of on that same note, you talked about the hands to the face call that got called late. Did you ever get an explanation on why that happened?
I got an explanation. Yeah, I got an explanation.
Did it help you understand it?
No.
All right, there you go. Dabo Swinney from his press conference earlier today, looking ahead to Citadel, looking back to Pittsburgh. We now have the new rankings from the College Football Playoff Committee. So we start at the top, work our way down. Oregon is number 1, followed by Ohio State, Texas, Penn State, Indiana. Man, what a turnaround in Indiana. That's what transfers will do for you.
Well,
right?
And a new coach. And I think Cignetti is your National Coach of the Year runaway. I don't think they even need to vote.
Yeah. Notre Dame is 6, followed by Alabama, Miami, fraud, Ole Miss, and Georgia. I tell you, Miami, look out for Syracuse. Last game of the season up there. Look out for Syracuse. Number 11 is Tennessee, followed by Boise State at number 12. Boise State's 12 now. SMU is 13. Then it's BYU and Texas A&M. At number 16 is Colorado, followed by your Clemson Tigers, followed by your South Carolina Gamecocks, 17 and 18 respectively.
It's the highest the Gamecocks have ever been in the CFP rankings.
Mm-hmm. Yes. At number 19 is your Army. Who doesn't?
Our Army.
Well, yeah. Yours and ours. Yeah, good way to put it. Who doesn't root for Army? They're number 19. And Tulane is 20.
I'll be a homer with Army. It's ours. It's our team.
Arizona State is 21. Then it's Iowa State. Missouri still in there at 23. UNLV at 24. And Illinois at 25. So Clemson and South Carolina, 17-18. They'll both, assuming they both win, they'll both win Saturday. So shouldn't have hurt them there.
Could it be a top 15 showdown?
I was going to say, depending on what happens ahead of them, got to see who might lose a game ahead of them. But you got Indiana and Ohio State playing this week, so one of them's going to fall a little bit. See, here's the situation. You know, if Indiana gets mopped up by Ohio State, but they only have one loss, but they have no reputation. You know, how does the committee look at your history and all that? And they say, well,
question.
Nice story, nice Cinderella story, Indiana, but goodbye. Be back after the break.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach kids and teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
South Carolina's taste buds have spoken, and they're asking for beef. There are more than 7,800 farms raising cattle from pasture to plate in the Palmetto State. So whether it's steaks on the grill before the big game, sirloin medallions plated for date night, or burgers with the family, make sure beef is a part of your playbook this football season. Smoked, grilled, and slow roasted. Find the best way to enjoy your beef at sccattle.org. Beef. It's what's for dinner in South Carolina. Funded by the South Carolina Beef Council, part of the Beef Checkoff program.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has introduced a new rolling jackpot, and it's big.
How big? Bigger than a striped bass? Reel 'em in.
Way bigger.
Bigger than this world-class golf course? Or
bigger than that.
Even bigger than the Gaffney Peach?
Let's just say with this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today and check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at seeducationlottery.com.
Overall odds of 1 in 10. Top prize odds of 1 in 850,668.
The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, time for the recruiting report on this Talking Tuesday edition of Sports Talk, brought to you by our good friends over at Seawells. Public service announcement: Seawells will be closed on Thursday of this week. They have a private party going on that I haven't been invited to. Josh, were you invited to it?
I was not invited yet.
Yeah. Chris, were you invited? None of us were invited
Smitty
to
was.
it.
I'm sure Smitty was.
Smitty.
Yeah.
He gets to go to everything. anyway, they'll be open tomorrow. What we got tomorrow? What does it look
Tomorrow,
like tomorrow?
Sliced beef brisket, and Thanksgiving, it's carved turkey with cornbread dressing and fried pork chops.
Got to have the cornbread. Say that one more time. Beef brisket.
Yeah, sliced beef brisket, carved turkey with
turkey, and the last thing was
with the cornbread dressing with the turkey, and then fried pork chops.
Pork chops. My gosh, what a selection!
And then Friday it's roast beef, teriyaki and lemon pepper wings, and fried flounder.
I mean, amazing, simply amazing. You cannot do better, I promise you. For $14 cash, $14.50 with your card. That is Seawell's Daily Luncheon Buffet, 1125 Rosewood Drive. And when you need the best in the catering business for that special event, say you got a wedding coming up, Josh. Josh, you got a wedding coming up?
Not planned.
You and Juanita not tying the knot this fall?
Not planned. Not yet.
I mean, you're old enough. I mean, you're pretty much your own man. From what I can gather, you pretty much call your own shots here in the Cohen household.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
I'm
not getting married soon, but if I do need to get married, I'll let you know. I'll let Seawells
Well, I'll call
know.
Seawells for you.
Thank you.
And I'll make sure that they send you the bill. 803, but it'll be a very small bill. 803-771-7385 and online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. Number one catering business in the world. That is Seawells. All right, some significant developments over the last 24 hours. Two players, USC was trying to steer away from Georgia Tech. Turned that steering wheel back towards Atlanta. Center Jimmy Bryson of Chattanooga, offensive tackle Kevin P. from Lancaster. Both said they'll be sticking with Georgia Tech. They've been committed to Georgia Tech. They both took multiple visits to South Carolina. This is a case where, I'm not faulting anybody. South Carolina made a strong run, but you credit the two players for sticking with their commitments, Chris. We see so many players flip, and they stuck with the team that came to them first. They stuck with the team that showed them the love earliest and has stayed with them.
I think it's great.
Give them credit for sticking to their word. Irmo wide receiver Donovan Murph has decided to play in the Under Armour All-Star game. And, of course, he reclassified from 26 to 25. Was not chosen for the Shrine Bowl or the Touchstone Energy Cooperatives Bowl because he was a late addition to the 25 class and didn't go through any of the combines or anything like that. So wasn't chosen for that, but he was chosen for the Under Armour All-American game on January 2nd in DeLand, Florida. And the game will kick off at 4 o'clock. And he's going to announce during the game where he's going to go. This weekend, he goes to Clemson for his official visit. Took one to South Carolina recently. Georgia's been in there as well. Probably be one of those three. Probably be either South Carolina or Clemson. And through 10 games, he's got 74 catches, 991 yards, and 6 touchdowns. This past weekend, one of the top players in the state went out of state. Desmond Green from Timberland, offensive guard. He went to the night game at Georgia, Tennessee. That place was lit, as we well know. He enjoyed the visit. Second time he's been to Georgia for a night game. And really enjoying Georgia. I think Georgia's a big player with him right now as well. He's also been, besides USC, Georgia, and Clemson, for games to Virginia Tech, Tennessee, NC State, Alabama, and North Carolina. This weekend, he could be back at either USC, Clemson, or Georgia. He does know for sure that he will be at Clemson for the game with the Gamecocks. Okay? And a couple of other quick notes here while we have the opportunity to pass along to you here. The Clemson women signed 6'1" Holland Harris from Orlando and 5'8" Amaya Jackson from Rochester, New York. They both go to Montverde Academy. And the Clemson men signed the 3 players that had been committed to them, so their guys are in. And Hammond tight end and LSU commitment Mike Tyler told Lou Bajak of the State that he's going to wait until December 4th to announce his final decision. Be right back.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's tonight's forecast. Cloudy and mild with a low dipping down to 60. The rain continues tomorrow morning. We'll have some wind gusts approaching 30 to 40 miles per hour. We're clearing in the afternoon. The high is 71. Thursday and Friday look great. Sunshine, but cooler with highs around 60 degrees. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your financial well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
The Point.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting President-elect Donald Trump says he's nominating Dr. Mehmet Oz, who hosted a long-running television talk show, to lead the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. Oz, who ran a failed bid to represent Pennsylvania in the U.S. Senate, has been an outspoken supporter of Trump. SpaceX has launched another Starship rocket, but passed up catching it with giant mechanical arms. The world's biggest and most powerful rocket blasted off from Texas on Tuesday. Minutes after liftoff, mission managers called off catching the first stage booster for unspecified reasons. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 120 points, the Nasdaq rose 195, the S&P 500 advanced 23, oil up 42 cents to $69.58 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
If you are 65 or older, some people would tell you the world's on fire right now. Well, this isn't a political message. It's a message in support of Ken and his team at Broker Solar in downtown Columbia. I love what they're doing. This is meant to remind you about something. You can't pick your power company. It's not like swapping cell phone companies every time they ask for another rate increase. You know what, though? You can take control of your power bill. You can either pay the man or be the man. You can own your own energy. You need to reach out to Broker Solar. In famously hot Columbia, when it's 100 degrees in the shade, you won't lose power when the grid can't handle the heat. You'll have stored energy and a solar-powered battery. During peak hours, when the power company's cleaning up, you'll run off your solar panels and you'll get the last laugh. Hey, solar's not for everyone. It's a serious financial commitment with serious financial benefits. My suggestion is you reach out to Broker Solar and the guys and let them answer your questions. Online, it's brokersolar.com, or give Ken a call at 807-7417. That's 807-7417 for Broker Solar.
Want to hear my success story? I'm Fran Halloran, the money coach. I'm celebrating a decade of partnering with The Point. It's one of the best decisions I ever made. I've used The Point to significantly grow my small business. It started with a meeting with Kevin Cohen. Do you own a small business? Are you on a limited budget? No problem. Reach out to Kev at 563-8558. Get a customized plan and start your journey to business growth with The Point today. Success is one call away. Take the leap.
This is Ian with AccuClean. Regular carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning isn't just about keeping them looking beautiful and smelling fresh. It can also help to extend their life, which in turn saves money in the long run. Check out AccuClean today for our other services, such as mattress sanitation, odor and enzyme treatments, and leather cleaning and conditioning. Call AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 for all your carpet cleaning needs and more. Once again, that's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. I'll see you soon.
Customer service. We all talk about how it's gone down the tubes in recent years, but not everywhere. Not with the Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. These are the folks I want you to feel comfy reaching out to for your Medicare and health insurance needs. Tim Hanberry and Medicare Blueprint have joined Hickory Hill Insurance. The result? Even better customer service with a bigger team to help you by utilizing the very best technology in the industry. And you know what else? Just plain old caring about people and treating them like their family. When you call them, you'll get a call back fast. When you need a question answered, they'll take the time to help. This industry's so confusing, it's so ever-changing. They have a team that knows the best plans for you. They'll ask all the questions, they'll get all the answers, and as always, it won't cost you a penny to get their services. The best way to learn more? Visit the website, partdandme.com. That's partdandme.com, or call the team at Hickory Hill Insurance Agency. They're local, and they're willing to talk one-on-one. Remember, customer service still matters. 708-7398, 708-7398, or online, partdandme.com.
All right. That puts you in a great mood, doesn't it? I think we've got the best collection of bumper music in radio. What do you think, Mr. Bergen?
I love it.
Don't you want to just go grab your
country on occasion?
Don't you want
my taste?
Don't you want to just go grab Heidi right now and start dancing there in your?
Well, I can go do that. She's in the other room.
Yeah, and you can stream it because you got your streamer going on there. Great stuff. By the way, we've got the show now back streaming live on our new X account, which is at Sports Talk Posts with an S. Sports Talk Posts with an S. What's that show that we make fun of?
Rich Valdez with an S.
With an S. Sports Talk
I've
Posts.
picked up on that too.
With an S. With an S. Let me go back and just wrap up recruiting. There were a couple of things I was trying to get to. I was rushing through it. So going back to Mike Tyler, the Hammond tight end, who's playing for a state championship this week, told Lou Bajak from the state going to announce his final decision between LSU and the Gamecocks on signing day, which is December 4th, don't forget. He took his official to USC last weekend. He might make another trip to LSU this coming weekend. They play Vanderbilt. They might win that game. Defensive tackle Christian Ingram will take his official visit to USC this weekend, as he has previously stated. And he has taken officials to Kentucky, Michigan, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. And again, the Clemson men announced the signings of their three commitments: 6'4" Zach Foster of Atlanta, 6'8" Chase Thompson from Alexandria, Minnesota. 6'8" Chase Thompson, Alexandria, Minnesota. And 6'10" Trent Steinauer from Mooresville, North Carolina. And 2026 6'1" Kate Harpering of Atlanta visited USC over the weekend. Might have been her official visit or an official visit. Not 100% sure. That is the daughter of the former Georgia Tech star. Was it Matt Harpering? Is that what it was? An NBA star, Matt Harpering, from back in the day. Okay, there you go. That is recruiting, and it is brought to you by Seawells. Okay, to Shane Beamer now. As the Gamecocks are riding high. You just heard where they're ranked in the playoff ranking this week, moving up in the AP poll. They have been really, when you think about it, because you're kind of an outsider and you're kind of busting in, people talk about you a lot, like Boise State, Oregon's not new, but they are number one and been riding up there for a long time. They get a lot of conversation. Indiana would be another one that people are talking about a lot because they're so new to the scene. So enjoying some high times at South Carolina. Hope to keep it going. They do against Wofford this weekend and then up to Clemson the following weekend. What does Shane Beamer think about everything? Well, all he's thinking about, Coach Sean Watson coming to Columbia with the Wofford Terriers.
Coach Watson has done a nice job there in his time. The improvements they made from last season to this season are evident. Maybe not so by the record, but looking at it, they've played 5 games against top 25 FCS teams, and we know how talented. I know how talented a lot of those teams are and how good those teams are at that level. And they've played 5 games against top 25 teams. For sure, they're going to be certainly excited about playing us. This is their last game of the season, so they'll let it all hang out and not hold anything back. Effort-wise, schematically, we know that. It's a proud program with a ton of tradition. Obviously, 37 players on their team from the state of South Carolina, so we know how juiced up they'll be for this week as well. And they've got good players. They've got 5 guys on their team that have been the players of the week at different times throughout the season in the Southern Conference also. So I have a lot of respect for their program and the way they play. They've got some good players. There's no question about it. And we know we will get their very best this Saturday as well. It always starts with us, and there's a lot for us to be better at. As great as the last month has been and as good as Saturday night was, there's a lot for us to be better at in all 3 phases. And that's what I talked to the team about this morning in our team meeting is we need to get better this week. There's no question about it. But we're excited about getting back to work. I had a good practice this morning and good spirits and energy. And I said this on Saturday night, and I forgot to do it in the teleconference, so I'm definitely going to do it right now. We need to make sure we honor the seniors the right way on Saturday. So, again, I know I said it Saturday night after the game in the post-game press conference, Gamecock Walk needs to be electric because for so many of those seniors that will be getting honored on Saturday, that is the last Gamecock Walk they'll ever get to do. I guess unless they come back here as a coach one day, but as a player, it'll be their last Gamecock Walk. And then we will honor them right after pregame warm-up, so right around 3:30-ish, somewhere in there, is when we'll do our senior day recognition. And I would just ask all of our fans to shut the tailgates down early. There's plenty of opportunities in the future, God willing, to tailgate. This will be the last opportunity and the only opportunity to recognize a really special group of seniors. And I would love nothing more than for Williams-Brice Stadium to be absolutely packed at 3:30, 30 minutes before kickoff, so we can give those seniors that'll be playing their last game in Williams-Brice Stadium the recognition with their families on the field and the ovation that they deserve. So we can. There's other opportunities to tailgate this season as well. If they're not going to the Clemson game next week and tailgating, they can come to whatever the postseason game is after Clemson. They can tailgate at that. But you got all day to tailgate. So get there early, tailgate, but shut that thing down and please get in the stadium by 3:30 so we can really make that senior day recognition special for these guys, because this is a really, 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 really special group of seniors that we're honoring. Guys that either came in January as a transfer and have made an impact in their time here. Guys that were a part of the signing class when I got hired that had never met me, like TJ Sanders or who's Juju, I guess, is a better example. TJ was a part of that class. He's technically not a senior, but Juju is a senior, and honoring him, or the guys that were here when I got here, like. And go on and on and on, but Tonka and Boogie and Vershawn and Kai and God dang, that's twice I've done that. Alex and whatnot, Hunter. There's just a bunch of really, really good players that we need to honor. So please help me in doing that, Gamecock Nation.
Perspective as a player and a coach, how difficult is it for players who say, we're locked in against an opponent that we're supposed to beat, to stay locked in? I mean, is there something that makes that transition easier? And do you talk to your leadership about, hey, let's not lose that intensity?
Yeah, we talked about it as a team this morning that, one, you better have a respect for Wofford for one, and have yourself ready to play, because they can present you some problems. I mean, you just watch special teams. They've got a fake punt against Chattanooga. They got a fake field goal against Richmond. They did a fake field goal this year against Western Carolina. On a kickoff return, they faked like a throwback pass against, I think it was Mercer. They did a surprise onside kickoff in the middle of the game against VMI. So you better have yourself ready to go and have a respect for them, first of all, because they can attack you in special teams, and next thing you know, you're in a battle because you're not where your mind's not where it needs to be. But for us, and we always talk about this, it really is about us, and the message that I've given them that we've talked about is we need to get better this week. And going back to the beginning of the month when we talked about they remember November, not just what you do in the SEC games in November. They remember November, and we're still writing this story in the month of November, and we need to get better. And we've been a team that has always gotten better as the season has gone on, and that doesn't mean that you just get better, then you play a non-SEC team and you stay the same. You better get better this week as well. And I just go by. Are they on time for meetings? Is there a sense of urgency? Is the practice still spirited and intense? And all the answers to that today were yes. So hopefully we can continue to have a really good week and lead into Saturday.
Obviously, there's still games after this weekend and senior day, but do you feel at all responsible to kind of facilitate those conversations that seniors may have about just emotions of it being their last game in Willie B and kind of coming to the tail end of their careers? And in that same note, you said the senior class is really special. Do you at all think that you'll find yourself emotional on the field during the presentations on Saturday?
As far as the seniors and their emotion, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it that, we talk about it each year that they'll be the emotions of that, and then you've really got to put an end to that. You got to go play football, because they'll come out of the tunnel, they'll see their families, they'll be recognized, and then they got to go back in and put their helmets on, and then get ready to come right back out and play football. So that's always something you worry about for sure. But just really continue and emphasize to them that how you make your senior day really special is to go win the football game. And you do that by, understanding that it's going to be different because it is your last time. But when the game starts, it's all about football as well. And, yeah, absolutely. I know I will. Like that. I'm crying during movies and things like that as well. So, but I will. I mean, kind of started yesterday. I had to film a video with our social media team. Just, I wasn't even talking about the seniors individually in that video, but just kind of talking about a group, and caught myself a couple times just thinking about them and got a little, emotional. But it's just because of how much gratitude I have for them, Lulu, and that, there's so many of them that have, I wasn't. Every year I say this, but this is the group that's been here the longest that I wasn't the coach they came to play for. And this is year 4 with me. And in today's time, it's so easy to just pack up and go somewhere else. And man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I didn't come play for this idiot, and move elsewhere and go to another team. And easily could have done that last season when we were 5-7. And they all just doubled down on, no, we believe in what we're doing. We believe in this program. We want to leave this place a better place than what it was record-wise in 2023. And I'm just so happy for them that they're having the success in 2024 that they came back for, which is pretty cool.
I've been working on a story with Nick Imamori, and I'm curious, what has he meant to this program and just, his passion, him living 15 minutes away and deciding to stay? You were talking about the play. He's not a senior, but he could have, left if he wanted, but he stayed, and just the impact. He's leading this defense, 71 tackles, 4 interceptions, 4 pick sixes. How much of a staple has he been to this program on the defensive side? Huge. And going back to yours, I don't not every movie, but there's just certain ones that'll get me. Okay, so I'm not a big softie that I'm box like Kleenex every time I watch a movie. There's just certain ones that still get me, no matter how many times you see it. Nick's been awesome. He really has. It seems like yesterday that he was just out here at our summer camp, and we kind of knew about him, but we didn't really know about him. And then he came out here going into his senior year at Irmo, and you realize what a special talent he is. And then to come out in his very first game as a Gamecock, we don't even know if he's going to play against Georgia State that year. And then he ended up coming in the game and playing really well. And then I remember we go out to Arkansas the next week, and I still vividly remember there's a one-on-one tackle, him and KJ Jefferson, the Arkansas quarterback at the time, and Nick gets this big quarterback down as a true freshman, and there's just play after play, just some individual great effort plays. And then for it to be a guy from the state of South Carolina, it's awesome. I mean, I tell recruits all the time when I was here before, and it's true, when we really got it rolling, we were doing it with players from the state of South Carolina, and him and DQ coming in that class together, and what they've done has been really, really cool. And certainly, Nick's a guy that after last season, with the kind of player he is, there were plenty of places he could have gone if he wanted to. And, he wanted to leave a legacy here and be a guy that, finish what you started in the state of South Carolina, and be a guy that's remembered here forever, and not a guy that just came and played here for a year or two and then bounced and went to some other school for whatever reason. He believes in this place. He loves, this community, and it's really cool to see him having the success that he's having as well, and the career he's had here that will allow him to go play, football for a long time after Carolina as well.
with the defensive improvement this year, I think it's easy for people on the outside to just look at the newcomers, D. Knight and Kyle Kennard and whoever. But you guys have a ton of guys that came back and seniors and veterans. How much of the improvement this year is the fact that there's a bunch of 4th, 5th, 6th year guys who decided to come back and really are leading the kind of a veteran defense?
Yeah, that's huge, and it's something that I think really gets overlooked when they talk about our defense or really even our team in a lot of ways. And that's why, what's the best way to put it? That's why I kind of shook my head at some of the preseason projections about us in that, look, I get it. We were 5-7. We lost our starting quarterback, and we lost our best offensive player in Xavier Legette. And everybody's like, well, they stunk last year. They were 5-7. Quarterback's gone. Receiver's gone. They're not going to be very good. Well, look who we got coming back. And I know Lenora Sellers was an unknown, but wasn't like we had a bunch of slaps that were returning. I mean, we had a good team coming back this year, whether it be for Sean Lee at center or Josh Simon at tight end. And then you talk about a lot of the receivers that were coming back and whatnot as well. But then you look at the defense, like we played really good defense down the stretch last year, and that whole group returned outside of Marcellus Dial and Jordan Strawn and 2 linebackers left, but we brought in some really good players to replace those guys. But the core, if you count us having 5 starters in the secondary, counting our nickel, 4 of our 5 starters in the secondary were back, and our top 3 defensive tackles were back. And in my mind, with Bam and Debo, our top 2 linebackers were back. So we brought a lot back, but we knew we needed to improve the pass rush. There's no question about it, i.e. Kyle Kennard and Dylan Stewart. You see what's happened. And I told TJ and Tonka and Boogie when they were deciding whether or not to come back this year, look, y'all had to play too many plays last year because we didn't have the depth at D-tackle. We're going to get some depth around you. And we've done that with, the guys that we've brought in there as well, whether it be Jules or Kel or Rondo or Nick Barrett as well. So it's huge. When I meet with those TV crews on Fridays, that's one thing I try and mention to them because they all bring up those guys, but the new ones. But we brought back some really good players too that have embraced those new guys, and it's been a perfect mix of talented freshmen, older returners, and older transfers that have come in.
Okay. Shane Beamer from his press conference today. All of Beamer, all of Sweeney up on our website, SportstalkSC.com. While you're up there, you can just click on the link, take you right to our new X page, Sports Talk Posts with an S. Sports Talk Post, at Sports Talk Posts. Make sure you put the S in there, Sports Talk Posts on X. We'll be back.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
Call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171 for all of your Midlands insurance needs.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hostetler-Brown. Helping an aging loved one arrange for their care can be one of the most difficult things you will ever do. Fortunately, you don't have to navigate this maze alone. Lawyer Lisa's knowledgeable life care team can lead you down the right path. Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Touchstone Energy Cooperative members save more on electricity, and members save more on insurance, groceries, healthcare, restaurants, travel, concerts, and sporting events through Co-op Connections. Touchstone Energy is an alliance of the member-owned electric cooperatives, and as a member, the power is yours. Experience the power of co-op membership with Touchstone Energy and find out how much you can save on electricity and a whole lot more at touchstoneenergy.com.
All right, we got a couple of state teams playing basketball tonight. Upstate's leading Southern Wesleyan 43-39. That game is at halftime. And Charleston Southern going to play down at LSU tonight. That game will tip off at 8 o'clock. Elsewhere, Louisville leading. All right, help me out here. Is it Bellarmine or Bellarmine?
It's Bellarmine.
Bellarmine. It's neither.
Leave the E off.
It's Bellarmine. Bellarmine.
And it's also Louisville.
Whoa, we're going to swallow that. Louisville versus Bellarmine.
Leave the I out of Louisville and the E out of Bellarmine.
Louisville. I'm calling it Louisville, okay? That's what I grew up. When Denny Crum was there, they were the Louisville Cardinals, not Louisville.
Not the folks in Kentucky. Go tell the folks in Kentucky that.
Wake Forest, can I say that? Wake Forest leading
Yes, I think that's
Western
fine.
Carolina at the half, 44-34. Georgia over Alabama A&M 46-35. Florida State over Hofstra 32-23. These are all halftime scores. Notre Dame 38, North Dakota 31, halftime. Florida 46, Florida A&M 22, halftime. Kentucky 43, Lipscomb 26, and Boston College over Loyola Maryland 82-61. That game's over now. That game's gone final. How about this one, too? Ran across this one. Well, it's gotten a little bit better. Tennessee State is playing East-West University. It was, I think it was like 51-8. Now they're at the half. It's 59-15 at the half.
How big is that campus? East-West University. Good grief.
East-West University. UConn leading East Texas A&M 42-20. East Texas A&M. Not East Texas A&M. It's probably East Texas A&M. 42-20, UConn is up. And let's see. Any other scores here of interest? That's pretty much
Hey,
it.
you should know where East-West University is. It's in Chicago.
Really?
Yes.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
Member of America's Urban Campus, a group of 20 Chicago area colleges and universities.
Huh. Okay.
How about
Maryland.
that? East-West University.
Maryland taking it to Canisius. Remember when Canisius had a proud basketball program?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh yeah.
They're down 59-14 at the half.
Maybe they should schedule East-West University.
Really? 59-14. All right, so tomorrow we'll continue to talk about South Carolina Clemson, the Palmetto Bowl, along with, of course, paying due respect to the games coming up this weekend. But if the University of South Carolina is not going to respect the Wofford game this weekend by having their pep rally for Clemson this week when there's still a game to be played, I find that confusing. I find that
Well, explain
very
something
confusing.
on the Clemson side. Why is Clemson doing Senior Day this weekend? It's not their last home game.
Well, they do that because they don't want to take away from the Clemson-Carolina game with all the emotions of Senior Day.
Oh, because they wouldn't be as fired up for what?
No, they don't.
Doesn't make any sense.
They don't want. Senior Day brings a whole bunch of other activities with it than just your normal game. You got families, you got to hand out the roses, and it's more emotional, and so they choose to do their Senior Day if they're hosting the South Carolina game at the last home game before that game.
Right.
I mean, that's the rationale there.
I think that's dumb, but that's okay.
Okay.
They didn't ask me.
Well, I just, when you have the tiger burn, just remember Wofford's waiting in the wings. And all that video is going to be in the Wofford locker room. Hey, look here. They're not even paying attention to us.
Yeah.
All right. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.